And so just in case, for those who don't live on planet Earth or may not be aware of who you are, I have a wonderful introduction for you.
Wow. Okay.
And
Okay.
now it's better than the first one, which was, I think it was 3 years ago when we first chatted. Like it was shortly after, right before you were about to testify, I think.
Yeah.
And so here's what I've got for you. So no blessing allowed, but today
Oh
we
Lord.
we have a courageous former Capitol police officer who I've had the pleasure of getting to know over the last few years. Former football player like myself, except he was much better and bigger and faster. Uh, Congressional candidate, community leader, surrogate for the presidential campaign, New York Times bestselling author, awarded with a Congressional Gold Medal, awarded the Presidential Citizens Medal by President Biden, and you are Mr. Harry Dunn. Thank you for
Mm,
joining me. And
thank you so much. That
how it's-
man, thank you.
those
Thank you, man. No,
that-
it's crazy. I would be happy with just, just good
that's
person. And
that's what it's
that's all I want to be. That's
those
just
are
to
your
just be a
titles
good
now.
person.
And that's
I
what
think
I've always
it's
done.
crazy, man.
I remember when, using your voice. We had talked a while back, talk about the conversation itself, but like I could see, the reluctance of like the leadership route was there for you, and you have a choice to either, maybe go into private security, be a bodyguard, like we'll do whatever, or you could go into public service. And I'm really happy that you chose that public service route. And I know a lot of people here are feeling the same way. You have a Substack page now where you can speak out on top of everything else.
Yeah.
And folks, so if you are online right now, make sure that you subscribe to his page. And as everybody knows, um, make sure that if you're able to become a paid subscriber to support his cause, um, and as well, just to be specific, because I like to be clear with folks, and I don't recommend everybody's pages. So I do recommend Harry's as a subscriber myself. So
Thank
I see
you.
you have a Substack page. Why did you just decide to start your page itself? And this is not an ad for Substack for those who are wondering, but I'm curious, why you decide to
Yeah.
start your page.
Well, it's just a way to continue to use my voice, use a platform, talk to people that want to hear what I have to say. I'm not a force feeding, information to yeah, I'll put out my tweets or on Blue Sky, which I prefer a lot more. But people actually have to seek out on Substack what I want to say. And those are the people I want to talk to. I mean, yeah, I would love to reach people that are want to be persuaded and stuff like that, but people have to want to hear what you have to say. And Substack gives that people a way to reach out. Hey, I want to hear what Harry Dunn has to say, or I want to hear what Scott Dorgan has to say. You actually have to go out, and those are the people I like communicating with and talking to the most. I'm always going to talk. I'll talk if it's just one person listening. It gives you an opportunity to talk to a bunch of people, and yeah, to go back what you just said about, choosing, I had the opportunity I was a police officer for over 15 years, and I became a police officer to help people. I believe in helping people. I believe in service, and people got to know me as an officer after January 6th. So people don't realize I was a cop for 12, 13 years prior to January 6th, um, protecting Democrats and Republicans alike, just to do my service to my country, to my community, to my neighborhood, to help people. And that's what's important to me. Um, I felt like I did everything I could do as a police officer. Another challenge arise, and that was the challenge of preserving our democracy and fighting for it. And be having the firsthand experience there on January 6th, I had credibility to talk about what it means to preserve democracy and to continue that fight. And that's kind of where I'm at now. I'll just continue to show up where I'm needed, where I see an opportunity to make a difference, to be helpful. Um, Ain't it about me at all. Like that's why those when you were reading that intro, it's just like I don't care about none of that. So I don't get me wrong, it's very
That's
nice.
why.
Those are nice titles. They're really nice titles and accolades to have.
Right.
But I just want to be just a decent person and help out where I'm able to, and that's what I'll continue to do. And that, while that democracy is still under attack and it's a threat to it, that's the fight that I'm in right now, and we'll see where we go from here if we go from here.
Yeah, no, yeah, I remember I told you this a long time ago, but on January 6th, I lived off of North Capitol. I drove
Yeah,
down to the Capitol because I was gonna go, and I remember we instructed every group. We had a meeting, a private meeting a few days beforehand, and I pushed as hard as I possibly could for no counter protest. I was like, "This is gonna be dangerous. We won. Let's move on." Like seriously, we do not want any confrontation. We don't want any violence. But we didn't expect that. So I'm driving. I think I was driving past like one of the monuments, and then the roads started getting closed in the morning, and I was like, "No, no, no, no. I'm good.
yeah,
Not only will I have problems parking, but I was just like, this is not. I'm not going to break out a Larry David red hat and props to get inside, or
yeah,
but it was, I remember the going back home and then seeing the smoke pillowing just from it was a scary sight, so just seeing it from there was terrifying, and, my neighborhood folks, our older and the other people in the neighborhood were arming themselves with brooms, so, like, there's older people
yeah,
in our neighborhood, and so it was an odd day where people were ready to stick up for their neighborhood in case Proud Boys came and tried to go door to door, like, they were terrified, and this and it's another part of it. Mm, the you have a book, and it's called
yeah.
Standing My Ground, excellent read, please, go out and get it. It's a New
Thank
York
you.
Times bestseller. Uh, you know, what is your book about? And I know obviously it's about what had happened there, but what is it really about the
Yeah.
top level of it?
Yeah, so, I wrote a book to tell my story. If you ask 100 police officers who were there on January 6th what their experiences was, you'll get 100 different answers, 100 different stories. Everybody's story is different. Everybody's story is unique. But what the similarity will be in all of those stories is that they stood up for their country, they defended their democracy, and they defended their democracy at the hands of a mob that Donald Trump summoned. Period. Like now, what people did throughout the day may be different. What people experienced, and some people were maybe called the racial slurs, like I was, or some people. I wasn't beaten. I wasn't physically. I got a little pepper spray here and there, a scratch here and there, but I didn't suffer the separated shoulders or the broken collarbones, broken legs that a lot of my coworkers did. So that you'll hear those stories. You'll hear stories of just so much. I just wanted to tell my story. And a lot of people, a lot of my former officers weren't comfortable telling their stories, and that's fine. I mean, I get it. This hasn't been easy to be very honest and be very candid with you. Death threats and hate mail and all that kind of stuff. I still receive it to this day. Um, but I did ask my coworkers, hey, can I tell some of you all stories since I am going to talk? And I told about three different other officers' stories. And even when I testified before Congress, I told officer stories that day. Because like I say, it isn't about me. It's about getting people to hear what other people went through. I've always believed in standing up for the marginalized person. And for whatever reason, like there's a story. I told this story like on an interview on TV. I didn't put it in my book, but there's a young lady who was pregnant during the time, during January 6th, and she ended up miscarrying. And she lost her baby because of January 6th, because of the physical trauma that she went through on January 6th. So it's a lot of different stories that you hear, that a lot of people's lives were changed, a lot of people's lives were ruined, people's lives ended because of that day. And I'm not just talking about the officers. Look at all the people that are spending time in jail, and I'm no sympathy cry for them, but people's lives were changed and ruined because of what happened on January 6th. And for people to downplay it, diminish it, as if it was like a nothing burger or legitimate political discourse is bullshit. If I could say that, it's
Yeah.
100% bull. And one of the reasons why I, 4 years later, am still relevant, because I will always show up and push back against that narrative. And damn you if you think that it was nothing that day, if it was a Fed insurrection or FBI set it up. Man, those were American citizens beating the hell out of police officers that day. And I won't let anybody say otherwise or forget it.
Yeah, and they try to say now that it was FBI informants in the crowd. Well, okay, that's not the same thing as an FBI agent if that were to be true. Let me just run through this quick list here, just in case people were wondering. And this is big sticking point of like it was nonviolent, peaceful protesters. They're there on
Well,
vacation. There were people arrested with guns, handguns, shotgun, assault rifle. There were pipe bombs placed outside DNC, RNC, Molotov cocktails found in someone's truck, unregistered firearms, including hundreds of rounds of ammo, a stun gun, machetes, crossbow with bolts. Other weapons included a baseball bat, hockey stick, rebar, flagpole, obviously, including the American flag, pepper spray, bear spray. Hundreds of knives were confiscated, brass knuckles, scissors, needles, screwdrivers, stun guns, batons, and even axes, multiple axes.
yeah.
So we have this guy coming in the office who we know very well now. How do you feel about him talking about pardoning these people? And I don't know if he's talked about broadly, as in the people
Sure.
who also assaulted, officers. So how do you feel
Yeah.
about that?
Well, well, first of all, it's two things. We have to acknowledge what a pardon is. Like a part, if there's any, we knew that this was coming. He said that he was going to do this,
Mhm.
so we had time to prepare for it. A pardon doesn't say you were innocent. It says we
Right.
forgive you for what happened. So if there's any slight moral victory, any, and this is me just grasping here,
Yeah.
that a jury of these people's peers found them guilty, and that will always be with them. They can't run from that. But let's be clear. Donald Trump is Donald Trump. Like, do we I don't expect good from him. I don't expect decent from him. I don't
Sure.
expect nice from him. Should we? If a snake bites us, do we get mad at the snake? No, I get mad at the person who let the snake loose in the house. And I think that's what the people, his voters are those people who let that snake loose. Donald Trump is who he says he is. Everything he said, he's done. I mean, with the exception of Mexico paying for the wall, we're still waiting on that. But like all the rhetoric and stuff, that's who he is, and we should not be surprised by it. I'm surprised. I'm more hurt and upset by the 20 million less people who did not vote this year, who said, you know what, I just don't care. And that was the stab, that was the gut punch to me. People needed to care. People in our indifference is going to be one of our biggest downfalls. We have to care about others. We have to care what's important and not just when it's convenient for us. I think a lot of people are going to be in for a big wake up call this presidential term because they just didn't care. But Donald Trump is who he says who he is. So am I surprised that him? No, I'm not surprised at all. He told us what he was going to do, and now people want to be up in arms about, oh, he's pardoning. He said he was going to do it. So I'm upset that y'all are just now, not you all, our
Right.
listeners are
Yeah. Yeah.
fantastic right now, but y'all are great. But everybody else that now congressmen and women or in the media is up in an uproar about it. Like he said he was going to do this, and now y'all just starting to care. It's too late now.
Yeah. And that's what we got to deal with now. So as he comes into office, what are your plans? What are your plans next? Are you writing another book? Are you going to be doing speaking tours? Like, what are you up to next?
Any and everything. And I know that sounds like, but I am all in. I'm all in. I'm all in to do whatever I can do to be helpful. I'm not going back to be a police officer. I'm not going to do that. I have found this space now where my voice, my story, my platform has proven invaluable. I love the opportunity being out there across the United States this election cycle. I think I hit every battleground at least 2 or 3 times, going out there campaigning initially for Joe Biden and then transforming it into Kamala Harris. Just being out there. We have the DNC election coming up. What is that? February the 1st, I think. So whoever is elected, the DNC chair, will have to realize what's important going forward. where, hey, they have to have their pulse, be very clear and honest about what happened during the election cycle and have a clear plan agenda going forward for what we do as Democrats. Not just to not lose more Democrats, but to gain independence, to gain those 20 million people who didn't vote. We need to get them. If you look at the demographics of the biggest group of voters, it isn't Republicans, it isn't independents, and it's non-voters. Those are the voters that we need to get. So what I can do, which you asked me, what am I going to do? I haven't ruled out running for Congress again. I mean, if there's an
Yeah.
opportunity that makes sense, I'm not. It's not for me. I'm not. I don't care. I want to be helpful. I want to be useful, and I want to do whatever I can do to continue to fight for democracy. So I guess we'll wait and see what the new agenda is going forward with the new DNC chairperson, and then we'll see what's available for me to continue to be helpful. But in the meantime, I'm going to be out here using my voice, writing newsletters. I got a busy week of media coming up starting
Yeah.
this weekend. I'll be on some
Yeah.
MSNBC hits, going on CNN, anywhere that I can continue to be useful and use my voice. I will be doing that. Um, so just showing up and I'll be there.
That's awesome. And in retrospect, you'll get this question, but from everyone. In retrospect, how do you feel about this experience? I mean, it's I I've had to get into so many debates with conspiracy theorists about not just you, but like Ganell and having talking to Fanone and everybody else, like these nonsensical stories where I have to talk them out of this disease that they have of believing
Yeah.
this false narrative and then kind of laughing about it. And I I say to them, like I have people like friends who no longer work in Congress because there were people banging the doors trying to kill them and kill their boss, and,
Yeah.
like, but it's an experience in itself, and, you people like, Swalwell and Gallego who are on the House floor last. I think Colin Allred was there too, like, and they're taking their jackets off as if they're about to go to wo yeah, like, these are experiences where I don't it's not wrestling, like, this was very real.
Yeah.
But, you look back on it now, and how do you feel about just the experience? Because fresh off of it, man,
Yeah.
that was one of the hardest conversations I've had with somebody because it just was, um, especially when you had to wipe your face with the from the
Yeah.
bear spray and when you got to call your daughter, like, I mean, these are your people, like, you're coming,
Yeah.
it was not a plan of yours, like, you weren't like
Yeah.
it didn't make any sense. So, like, how do you look back now, though, years later? That's
What we went through was real. The conspiracy theorists, they could say whatever they want. I don't engage with them. I don't
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and I feel like a lot of people, a lot of the listeners trying to figure, they got people in their family like that. Don't. If you show them a footage of look at what happened on January 6th, play the video, press play. Is the most documented crime in American history. Press play and ask them what they see. And if it's anything, then people storming and attacking the Capitol, then we can't have the conversation about it. Now, people want to say, hey, did Donald Trump send them or whatever? I don't care. We can have that discussion. But if people want to deny the violence and what they saw that day with their own eyes, then there's no hope for them. I mean, just plain and simple, there's no hope for them. Like, I'm not trying to get into should we be funding Ukraine or should we? I'm not, damn all of that. Damn all of that. What is happening in this video? People are beating the hell out of police. Michael Fanone got dragged out in the crowd, got a taser drove in his neck. It's on video. Daniel Hodge is pinned between a door, screaming, help me, at the top of his lungs for his life, while somebody is gouging his eyes out. Square that away with me. And if you don't tell me anything, then those people belong in jail, then it doesn't work. Then that conversation needs to end. And that's it. Don't engage. Real people suffered real life experiences that day. Um, I, and it sucks. And it sucks, but we did though. And you know what? Uh, we stopped them that day, and it's, who knows if we'll get the opportunity to continue to do it again. Not the opportunity like to fight like as police officers, but the peaceful transfer of power. This may be the last one we see. Who knows what's going to happen after these 4 years? I will guarantee you one thing: Kamala Harris supporters aren't going to storm the Capitol on Monday, which January 6th. They're not going to storm the Capitol on January 20th. You know, it's we got common sense over here.
Yeah, I agree with that. And we, there's a lot of people, struggling after this election. People worked real hard, and you're one of them. Obviously, you were on the campaign trail at a constant, or texting with you, and it just like I'm in New York with Robert De Niro. It's like a
That
great
was surreal, man. That was such a real. That was crazy, man. With Robert De Niro, I had a fanboy moment for that, but that was kind of
that
cool though.
was one of the best. I mean, you have this unhinged person who's a random walker by or whatever they were, trying to troll you and Fanone. I don't know how you kept. Well, I know how you kept it cool because you're cool with it, but like you just kind of whenever. But like Robert De Niro wasn't having any of it, and
Yeah,
that was pretty cool to see him go off on
yeah,
poor guy. But one of the things that I end every interview with, mm, that is, and you've done this well before, but there's a lot of people who are worried about everything that's about to happen in the future. And what would you say to anybody who
yeah.
is, maybe worried about the future? What would you say to them to maybe lift them up? Because you're one of the best at this, and no pressure.
I'm glad that you asked me that, dude. I really am, because I was one of the people that is worried about what's going to happen. And listen, all the listeners here, all 605 people right now, 610, whatever, it keeps going up. You should be worried. You should. I take pride and comfort in giving people hugs, and I'm this big teddy bear, like, hey, everything's gonna be okay. You know what? I don't know. I can't say with a clear conscience that it's going to be okay. What I do know is I will continue fighting, and I will continue loving people like you all, the supporters, and I will do whatever I can do to make sure. I just ask that you all stand with me. I ask you all that you do all to do what you can do. Write your congressman, stay engaged, vote in every election. Don't accept things as inevitable. Don't just say, hey, this is the way that it's going to be. Always fight, always, like, democracy is a verb. It's not, it's like it's you have to work at it. It's that it doesn't just happen, and you have to preserve it. You have to fight to preserve it, and that just doesn't happen once every 4 years. We have to stay involved. We have to stay engaged. And you know what? Yeah, it didn't go our way, but if we keep fighting, we keep trying, it will in the next time, in the next time, in the next time. We have to learn from our mistakes. We have to get better, and we have to start reaching people where they're at. And I'm talking to those 20 million people that decided not to vote. Uh, I believe that we did. I did everything I could do during this election cycle. You, Scott, many of your watchers here, your listeners. Um, but we can't just act like it's going to be okay just because we hope that it is. You should feel devastated. You should feel crushed, but don't stay there. I allowed myself till January, right now, January, to be sad, depressed, down and out. But you know what? Congress gets sworn. I'm going to some swearing in ceremonies tomorrow at the Capitol for some great representatives: Adam Schiff, Ruben Gallego, Angela Also Brooks, some great senators that are going to Eugene Vindman. There's some great leaders that we have coming in, and we have to stand behind them and not abandon them just because Donald Trump won the election. We have to stay motivated. We have to stay engaged. We have to stay fighting, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going back. I still use my Substack too. Please join me, standing our ground. And like Scott said, please be a paid subscriber so we can continue to get out there and do what we have to do. But I won't quit on you all. I won't quit on this country. I won't quit on democracy. And I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm ready for a fight.
I appreciate you, and thank you so much. And again, standing our ground. There'll be a link in the episode notes. The post will go up on January 6th, I think, is when it comes out. Obviously, for clear reason. But Harry, as always, your words are amazing. We appreciate your candor and honesty and your leadership, and obviously your bravery that you've had. It's been an honor knowing you. I look forward to
Thank you,
connecting
brother.
again next time I'm around. But man, this is going to be a tough time, and we'll need you definitely
Yeah.
out in front. So I appreciate
Well,
you that
thank you,
you'll be
man.
here.
Thank you. I appreciate you, brother. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody listening and watching right now. Um, let's go. We got work to do. We got work to do, y'all. And I will say this: if everybody just stopped and threw their hands up when times got tough or got hard, women's would have the right to vote. Slavery would still exist. There would be so many things that we could have just said, "Up, that's just the way it is." Slavery was legal. Slavery used to be legal. And just think about that for a second. You know what? It's legal. That's just the way it is. People got up and continued to fight, and that's what we have to continue to do. Women having the right to vote, and they're rolling back women's rights as we talk. We can't accept that. We have to keep fighting and let y'all know that I stand with y'all. I'm going to continue fighting for y'all, and I just ask that y'all do the same. Even though it looks bleak, it looks dire. I what else can we do? What else can we do?